Okay, Assalamualaikum. Good day, everyone. So we will continue our lecture still on topic 3, and that is the pre-construction phase. But before that, let us recap what we covered last time about site selection, right? So in general, site selection, it starts with a detailed feasibility study to see if a location is good for a project. And this study looks at the land's physical traits to see if they make financial sense and fit the project's goals. Okay, and it also checks the land's worth, money matters, market trends, and also risk. And the goal is to pick a place that meets the project's money targets and big picture plans, like helping the community or being eco-friendly. Okay, so that's what we have covered previously. Okay, now we continue. For this subtopic, the COPO is still the same as the previous one, CO1, PO1. And the learning outcomes, we will learn about purpose of site investigation, or SI, and also the factors involved in the site investigation. Okay, so what is SI and what is its purpose? Mm, After the preliminary feasibility study, okay, this SI or site investigation, it takes the center stage to examine the chosen site's physical attributes. Okay, this stage is critical for understanding the site's geological, geotechnical, and also environmental conditions, including the soil conditions, water tables, and also any potential geological hazards that could impact our construction or long-term stability. So the investigation for this one, it employs surface and subsurface examination methods to gather comprehensive data, which in the end, it would affect decisions regarding the project's design, also affect the construction method, and also any necessary precautions to mitigate the environmental impacts. Normally, there will be preliminary and detailed investigations for each method. This means they often begin with a desk study before advancing to a more invasive techniques like drilling and sampling. Okay, so this is important for developing an economical layout and ensuring that the construction plans are safe for humans and also to the environment, as it could affect everything from logistics and construction timelines to the overall budget for the project. Okay, the impact faced during this investigation, they can be categorized as direct and also indirect. Direct impact, this one refers to the immediate physical changes of the site through the process of drilling, boring, excavating, or the installation of monitoring equipment. For example, okay, digging test pits could change the surface drainage patterns or disrupt the existing vegetation. And then there is the indirect impact, which may include the consequences of these alterations on the site's future use, the local ecosystem, or nearby structures. For instance, okay, drilling that lowers the water table could cause nearby wells to dry out. Or if you dig deep enough that you reach below the water table, it could cause water to seep into your excavation site. So this can lead to flooding or the gradual sinking of the ground, what we call as subsidence. Also, the use of heavy machinery could lead to soil compaction, affecting future building foundations. Okay, and basically direct and indirect impacts, okay, they need careful consideration in order to minimize negative consequences on the construction site and also its surroundings. And next is the limitations of site investigation. Okay, so the ground under us, it can be tricky. It changes a lot over time and sometimes has some things that we do not expect. So even if we look at them comprehensively, okay, we might not see everything. That is why we must be extra careful when planning buildings, just in case. Okay, the team normally will learn much from experience or case studies of other buildings built on similar ground. And these past reports, it can help us to predict what might happen with the new construction site. Okay, we must remember that we do not always have the budget to look at every inch of the ground, so we have to be smart about using what we have. And then the selection of site investigation methods is based on several critical factors. Okay, starting with the stage of investigation. Usually the early stages require a broader overview, while later stages require a detailed analysis. Okay, the site conditions and topography here refers to its physical characteristics, such as landscape and existing features. We also need to look at the intended structure, because different structures, from high-rise buildings to bridges, okay, all this, they demand specific investigation techniques. And then we need to look at information necessity, since the depth of information needed will steer the choice of method. We look at the budget too, because available financial resources will determine the extent and type of methods that can be utilized. Next is the accessibility. Okay, that is how easy it is to reach the site affects the choice of investigation methods. Alright, and lastly is the materials for investigation. So this one can refer to the availability of essential materials like water for drilling processes, which is crucial. So if such materials are unavailable, then we need to find alternatives or use different methods to obtain the information needed. Alright, so the methods for site investigation also, they range from desk studies, which review existing records and also publications, to seismic tests and trial pits, okay, to tests like the Macintosh probe and general land surveys. So each of these methods has its strength and is selected based on the factors that I mentioned just now to ensure a comprehensive understanding of the site. Okay, so these are just some of the methods lah. Next, we look at factors or reasons why actually we need the SI to determine our site suitability. Okay, first we are looking at the feasibility of our investment economically. The development costs, including nearby project comparisons, transportation, and utilities, they must align with our budget while promising a healthy profit return or return on investment ROI. Okay, for the technical factors, the site's physical attributes are also checked. Okay, the information such as groundwater levels, this one determines our foundation design, while the existing drainage system's efficiency is vital to manage any potential flooding. Okay, an aspect we cannot afford to overlook. And then the existing services are also important, as we must ensure the integrity of water pipes and electrical cables during construction. Okay, because any damage from this could lead to costly delays and also repairs. Then for projects near the shoreline, okay, marine effects are critical. The sea in particular can affect structural integrity, demanding a design that can withstand time and tide from the sea. And then a precise site survey. Okay, here we must establish the exact location to avoid any illegality issues and ensure that our construction is precisely where it is meant to be. Okay, the soil and subsoil conditions also impact the viability of our structural design. Then by doing comprehensive testing, we can gather data to ensure we are building on a solid ground. And lastly, topography. Okay, so this is not just about the beauty of the landscape, but also its practicality. Here, the contours and slopes will guide our excavation plans and the strategic placement of resources and services. For example, okay, when we do excavation, we can reuse the available soil for leveling at some other point within the site. Okay, otherwise, we need to import soil from other locations, and this affects not just the cost but also the future accessibility of the site. Then once the clients have done the FS and also SI, they can proceed to the planning stage, which is how the project will be carried out. I will go briefly here, so later please go through the details from the slides on your own. Yeah? Okay, so planning starts with setting for the management and coordination. Okay, basically for a project, it is critical to have a skilled professional to handle the design and project management. Normally, an experienced civil engineer ideally fills this role. So the client can choose the likes of a turnkey contract, which means they hire a developer to deliver the project from design until construction, or a traditional approach, separating design and construction work, where the consultant will be doing the design part and the contractor will be doing the construction part. Next, moving on to design. Okay, so this is where imagination or what the client needs meets the feasibility of the site. Okay, the client has the option to use their in-house technical team, which means the team from their own company who is already familiar with the team's values. Alternatively, the client can hire external consultants like architects or engineers to help prepare their design. But here, the consultants, they must be able to interpret what the client wants into a piece of design, because the inability to interpret correctly, this one, it may cause delays in preparing the design. Right, so now let us talk about construction. Okay, for construction supervision, the client can either direct their team to manage the work or hire design consultants to ensure the project is executed following what has been designed. Okay, so this is part of the controlling work at the later stage lah. Then regarding the construction method, the client can choose to provide the contractor with everything needed for the build, or just the workforce and tools while sourcing materials themselves. So this decision actually it balances the control, the cost and ease of the project management. But you see, of course, each method has pros and cons. When contractors supply labor, tools, and materials, this means they manage their workflow independently, ensuring no client intervention and timely completion to secure payment. However, okay, the cost may rise as contractors can mark up the material prices and material quality can be harder to guarantee. Alternatively, if the client provides material, they may benefit from trade discounts, okay, or bulk discounts. Like you are buying stuff in a huge quantity and have greater control over material quality and financial outlays. Now, this approach, however, it requires the client to manage resource coordination and material procurement, meaning a lot more works lah to the client and potentially leading to delays and additional claims from the contractor if the materials are not supplied on time, which can also lead to excess material use, and in the end it become a waste. And lastly is the approval from authorities. So securing approvals from authorities is a must, not just a procedural step. Okay, before starting construction, obtaining the green light for all design aspects and construction plans from the relevant local and federal agencies is very crucial, because these approvals, they are the gateway to a visually appealing, responsible and legally compliant project to ensure adherence to regulations for health, safety and the environment. Okay, so to conclude, site selection and site investigation, both of these are vital in laying the groundwork for the early stages of construction project management. Unlike site selection, which involves choosing a location that meets project objectives, the site investigation examines the chosen site's physical attributes and also its potential challenges. So all these steps ensure the project is feasible, safe and cost effective, providing a strong foundation for development and minimizing future risk to our project. Okay, so that will be all for today's session. I will see you in the next class. Thank you.